The Prime Minister, he gave a speech, a presentation in Parliament to explain the government's position with regards to local government elections after the Privy Council ruling, which now seem to have to go forward. So for more on what the Prime Minister had to say, we have something of a summary of the important bits. So let's cue this.
All the way to the Privy Council, the government and the legal luminaries view this entire matter as one of interpretation of an intent. It is important to note that up to Wednesday, 17 May 2023, the government's interpretation prevailed, supported by the reasoned decisions of our local courts, the High Court and the Court of Appeal. This is the proof that our legal and protection systems worked, and at no time did the government act with impunity or wanton disregard for our laws or with any malicious intent towards citizens and their rights. The grant of the appeal to the Privy Council is further proof of the systems being allowed to work as we proceed with all good intention of effecting local government reform. It was not surprising that there was a split decision at the Privy Council, where Lords Richards, Reid and Hodge, in paragraph 20 of the judgment, had this to say: the absence of any detailed provisions concerning local government elections leads to the inevitable conclusion that a change in the length of the terms of office of incumbent councillors and aldermen cannot amount to a contravention of the Constitution. The term for which representatives have been elected is important, but an increase by 1 year in the term of incumbent councillors and aldermen does not of itself breach any of the provisions of the Constitution. 2 judges voted in favor of preserving the status quo of the successful defenses of the relevant interpretation, and 3 voted to disagree and thus change the status quo to a new interpretation. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we see a change, not a crisis, and there's definitely no need for the mayhem, sackcloth and ashes that some desire. By the application of the common law, de facto officer doctrine, the actions and decisions of the corporations will be recognized by law as valid. Under existing law, a period of not less than 35 days must lapse between the issue of the writ and the taking of the poll. Immediately and within 3 months of the 18th of May, the government will move to issue the writ so that a poll can be taken within the usual 90-day window. With the arrival of the new decision, the option always exists to extend the office of incumbents up to the 18th of May so as to validate the actions prior to May 18th and to call an election to be held within 3 months of the 18th of May 2023. Consistent with this advice and decision, the Deputy Chief Parliamentary Counsel is on standby for the drafting of the necessary legislation to validate all acts of the corporation from December 2022 up to the 18th of May 2023 and for the further 3-month period from 18th of May. This piece of legislation is expected to be ready to be laid in Parliament and debated and taken through all its stages in this Honourable House on Monday, the 29th of May 2023. Once this is accomplished, the date for local government within the 90-day window will be announced. And with that, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I thank you for your cooperation.
So that was the Prime Minister there giving his justification, as well as what the basic structure of the plan moving forward. Now, I saw a headline that implied that we would have gotten the date for the next election on the 29th. based on what he actually said, what will happen is the legislature, to more or less clean up everything, will go through on the 29th. And once all of those processes are done, which is not necessarily 29th, then some point after that, it could be days, it could be a week, it could be a month, then we will get the date for the local government elections. We only know that it's going to be within 3 months of the 18th.
So elections are expected or due before August or by August 17th, if my calculation is correct. I mean, I listened to the Prime Minister speak yesterday, and to me, that's all that matters. Elections are due by August 17th. The campaign started a while ago. It's now up to all political parties involved to see whether or not they will actually be ready in time. So how do it begins? I mean, I know right now there's an issue with members of the United National Congress and their councillors who have heeded to the calls of the opposition leader to not work. But beyond that, let the road paving exercises commence.
Now, the thing is, I find it interesting, both the Prime Minister and the AG before him went to great pains to point out, well, all of these judges agreed with us, including the appeal court judges here, that it was not unconstitutional, which, okay, that point, to be fair, because that accusation was thrown out in the public discourse. So even if it was not argued in a court of law, once it reached past a certain stage, they want to set the record straight. But while the government might view themselves on all of this exercises, besides the actions they have to do to move forward, all of the explaining as setting the record straight, to me, it looks more like damage control, whether they realize it or not. And as much as you might say the legal system worked, well, yes, but generally speaking, our expectations of politicians is they work the system to get what they want. They don't work outside the system, they don't break the laws, they go through the gaps between the laws. And I do believe, though, that their primary motive and objective was to push the reforms through before the next local government election. I just don't think it's reasonable for us to then say, well, the year extension was this unfortunate side effect that they didn't really want. No, I would agree with anybody that says they most likely thought it beneficial and wanted to have that year extension. But I'm not too sure if that was the primary motivation. I think, again, as somebody pointed out to me, there's this thing about politicians to have legacy projects, and this might have been another one of those attempts to have a legacy project. We did local government reform.
Okay, in response to what you are suggesting, where are we with local government reform since December till now? We're in the 6th month of 2023. Where are we with local government reform? I mean, you're being very kind to the PNM, and I understand because we must examine all factors. However, I think they just need another year to campaign. Remember, the issue has, after the budget was read in October, it's finances that were crucial to all the exercises that they need to get done. And believe you me, I see them trying to get things done. This one-year extension was solely for the benefit of the government. The issue is people are saying democracy has prevailed because there was nothing wrong with the one-year extension to the terms of councillors. That wasn't argued in terms of the constitutionality. However, the democracy has won because people are saying we have every right to vote, and that's what the Privy Council is also basing their judgment on. So I'm asking you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, are you going to vote in local government elections? Do people take local government elections seriously?
That's the thing, turnout is less.
You see the less turnout for local government elections than you see for general elections, and even for general elections, the numbers are low. So
let me be a contrarian to my own points. One of the things that I believe, and maybe I'm wrong, the local judges did not want to rock the status quo. rocking the status quo, not only would it be probably very unpopular with the sitting government, but it's a risk, right? You are taking what is the easy way out, saying, well, you know what, this is what it is, let's just take the path of least resistance. Why are we going to rock the status quo over this? Is it really going to change things that much on a practical level? Potentially not. But the Privy Council Judicial Committee said, well, no. It's going to change things enough that it can't be allowed to stand. The other thing is, you just said finances. The interesting thing is, what else could they have accomplished in the year besides local government reform? Well, they could pay off their debts, and that includes the VAT refunds, of which they owe 7.8 billion. That would have been the third story we would have got into this morning. But think about it. You look better after you pay off 7.8 billion, and I believe that 7.8 billion is separate to the allocation to the 3 billion, which will go to their bills and their creditors. I think all of those are non-VAT related items.
I don't think that would have necessarily affected local government elections. I think more so the point of the Land Valuation Act, which is currently being debated, and the full re-implementation of property tax was the avenue that they were probably looking on as well.
Right, but my point is, you get the country's finances in better order, so you look better, and you get a few more minor wins under your belt, and then you have the local government elections. You look better, you have a stronger position.
Paying off those VAT refunds via bonds that mature over a 3-year period doesn't put us in a better position right now, does it? I don't have cash in my hand right now.
It is, I believe, the government claimed the last time they did this, it was allowed for banks to buy, or there were banks who were able to buy the bonds now for now if you needed cash now. Right? Obviously, you lose maybe the value of the interest or whatever. So I assume what the government was saying by giving that explanation or example, that facility will be afforded to bondholders in this instance again. With that said, I understand what you're saying. It's indirect, but I'm thinking just in general, we know how the public is. They're not necessarily going to look at the minute details. Oh, this is a local government issue, so this matters in this election. No, they're going to look at what is going on now. Is the PNM doing things good now? Well, then in local government elections, I will vote the PNM in. And too many people are very short-sighted. That's why you pave the roads just before elections. You don't pave the roads halfway into your term or right after the elections. So
we live in a society where box green and paved roads are the winners. I haven't seen my counselor for the longest while, right? I wonder if he still exists. I wonder if he's still there. But I could promise you something. Now that we know that the elections are going to be held on August 17th, just to ensure that he has his salary again from the month of August, he's going to be ringing on my doorbell to say, hey man, good to see you, vote for me.
One last thing about paving roads. The Tobago Council political leader, PNM, Ansel Dennis, he made a statement, one of the best ways to get kickbacks is to have road paving, because you don't need the same layers of approval and the processes to go through all the designs and XYZ as if you had like building a hospital or building a school or something like that. You're just paving roads, right? Yeah. So as much as he's trying to direct that to the current THE administration, that logic applies to all political entities with that level of authority. What's happening right now, Ketan? What's happening right now? They also needed time to pave them roads. They had to find the money to pave them roads.
How much bitumen did we import to pave these roads? Let me give you a quick story.
Fast.
Passenger Road, which has been plagued by potholes, it has more pothole than road, it has more grass growing in the road than anything else. Well, after years of neglect, the Tunapuna-Piarco Regional Corporation made the decision, hey listen, we're going to pave Passenger Road now. So in the matter of 2 days, Passenger Road was paved. guess what? After it was paved, wasser lines leaking on the road. And I'm just here like, but hold on, we knew this issue before y'all paved the road. So y'all couldn't like collaborate with wasser to fix these leaking pipelines before paving the road?
Well,
no. So now you see water appearing on the freshly paved road. Guess what?
You have to dig it.
No, they don't have to dig it. They dug it.
So it goes back to what we said about the heritage pipeline and the fact that town and country utilities, heritage, they're not communicating. One would think the examples are numerous. Local governments, works and transport, WASA, communicate now. Maybe? No? Why not? I don't know. I mean, in some cases, aren't they all of the same political party? This is not like the States or Europe where things are multi-party and they have all sorts of different agendas. You all are the same party, you all can't get communication done.
I'm telling you, Sean, in my area, between where I live, where my parents live, where my girlfriend lives, I could point out multiple things that are wrong. So I can't wait for the councillor to ring on my doorbell.
Well, I don't think the councillor ready for that, but good luck with that, councillor. I mean, if you did the groundwork beforehand, you could have avoided this issue.